Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so let's forget the usual tourist snaps for a minute.
Yeah, let's.
Today, we're sort of jumping on a virtual backfoots, those Dutch cargo bikes, and really digging into what daily life is actually like in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
We're using insights from chats with locals, from all over Amsterdam to smaller places.
Exactly. And you've told us you're interested in, like, getting a quick but real feel for new places.
Right.
And the Netherlands, well, it's got that unique culture, that reputation. It's perfect for this kind of deep dive. We've pulled together stuff from people across the country.
Yeah, we looked at conversations from Amsterdam, Den Bosch, Haarlem, Utrecht, Eindhoven, even some villages, a real mix.
A good range.
And the mission here is basically to pull out the really important bits about daily life. Are they welcoming to outsiders? What's the deal with housing, the general vibe?
But keep it engaging, right? Not just a data dump.
Exactly. Focused, but interesting.
Okay, so where do we start? The bikes, maybe. Is kind of the defining image.
Yeah, let's start there. The bikes. You hear it constantly, the Dutch and their cycling. Is it like overblown or is it really that central?
Oh, it's central. Definitely not overblown. We heard it straight from residents. You're not Dutch if you don't ride a bike. That sentiment popped up.
Wow. Okay. So it's really baked into the identity.
Totally. It's not just a weekend thing. People ride everywhere for everything. Commuting, groceries.
Day in, day out. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, something else that came up a lot, and with quite a bit of concern, was housing.
Yeah, the housing situation. Sounds like a really big deal over there. What did people actually say about it?
Well, the main thing was competition. Intense competition. We heard some pretty wild numbers, actually.
Like what?
Like, in some spots, you could have 3,000, maybe 4,000 people applying for the same house.
4,000, seriously, for one house.
Seriously. It just shows the sheer level of demand.
That's just incredible. And not just in Amsterdam, I assume.
No. Even in smaller cities, like Den Bosch. Someone mentioned maybe 2,500 people going for the same place there. So it's widespread.
Okay, so it's a national issue, pretty much.
Seems like it. And we heard firsthand how it hits people. Someone in Utrecht said they'd seen house prices jump like 10 to 20% in their area in just 1 year.
Oof, that's steep. But wasn't there also a comment putting it in perspective a bit?
There was, yeah. Another person, also in Utrecht, kind of said, well, look, it's tough, but maybe not quite as bad as some other Western European places.
Okay.
But, they immediately followed up by saying Belgium and Germany are definitely cheaper. So even with that perspective, the affordability problem is still, front and center.
Right. Still a major headache. And renting, is that any easier?
It doesn't sound like it, honestly. The rental market seems just as tough. We heard from Haarlem people saying finding a decent room or a house to rent is just
Difficult? Okay.
And get to tier one person waited 8 years on a list for a rental.
8 years. Wow, that's the commitment. Or desperation, maybe.
Tells you something, doesn't it? And there's this thing, this Gibson system. Did you catch that?
I saw that mentioned, yeah. What is that exactly? Some kind of housing lottery?
It's basically the registration system for social housing. You
Okay.
sign up, you wait, you build up waiting time.
Yeah.
And with demand so high, yeah, those lists stretch on for years and years.
Right. So housing overall, major challenge. Okay. Let's shift gears a bit. What about how welcoming the Netherlands is
Yeah.
for foreigners, for expats?
Yeah, that was interesting. Kind of a mixed picture, really.
Oh,
How so?
well, some people definitely felt it is welcoming, on the surface. But a common theme was that building, like real close friendships, that takes time, a lot of time.
Okay.
Someone actually said you really have to prove yourself almost before you're truly like in the circle.
Right, earn your stripes sort of thing, but maybe worth it.
Seems so. The feeling was once you're in, those friendships are solid. For life was the phrase used.
That's good to hear. What about language? How important is learning Dutch? Crucial. Maybe not always, especially in big cities. English is very widely spoken.
Right.
But making the effort to learn Dutch, people said it's really appreciated.
Yeah.
It definitely helps with deeper integration, getting beyond that surface level.
Makes sense. And did it feel different depending on where you are in the country, like Amsterdam versus a smaller town?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The person doing the interviews actually mentioned this specifically. They found it much harder to get people talking in Den Bosch compared to Haarlem.
Interesting. So maybe more closed off in smaller places.
Potentially, yeah. Or just, tighter-knit communities. Whereas in Amsterdam, making friends was apparently quite easy.
Why is that, do you think? More expats.
Probably. Bigger international crowd, more people in the same boat, maybe more open networks already set up. And Utrecht, too, was seen as welcoming.
Because of the university.
Yeah, lots of international students, lots of programs taught in English. That definitely shapes the atmosphere.
And Harlem, what was the vibe there?
Harlem was kind of described in two ways. One person loved it welcoming, quieter than Amsterdam, felt like a village but still a city.
Okay.
But another resident there, someone who'd lived there a long time, felt things were changing, becoming more everybody for herself, more individualistic.
Hmm. Interesting contrast. So, okay, beyond housing and making friends, what about just the general quality of life, the day-to-day atmosphere?
Generally positive, I'd say. We heard phrases like a very gentle way to grow up, easy living.
Nice.
It-
Sounds relaxed.
yeah, and safety came up a lot, too. People generally feel it's a safe country.
Good. Any downsides to the general vibe? Crowding?
Yeah, cities can be crowded, definitely. Though maybe not too overwhelming, as one person put it, but it's there.
And the specific cities had their own personalities, right? Amsterdam was.
Crazy, busy, high energy. Pretty much what you expect.
Right. And Harlem.
Harlem was the little village, but it's a big city one.
Yeah.
More relaxed than Amsterdam, good cafes, restaurants, but expensive.
Expensive, okay.
And very similar feel to Amsterdam in terms of canals, the center. Plus, it's close to the airport, close to the beaches like Bloemendaal and Zandvoort.
Which get crowded in summer, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Very crowded affair.
Okay. What about Den Bosch? You said it felt more like a local town.
Yeah, definitely. Felt like a pretty small, tight-knit community. The kind of place where knowing Dutch probably matters more.
Right.
It also has this kind of magical history, apparently.
Yeah.
Something about starting as a duke's hunting lodge in the swamps. Hertogenbosch, Duke's Forest.
Huh. Cool backstory. And Eindhoven.
Eindhoven came across as very cool. One person actually preferred it to Amsterdam.
Really? Why?
Less busy, apparently.
Yeah.
More new buildings, maybe more modern feel. And generally welcoming to foreigners, lots of people there for tech jobs.
Makes sense. And Utrecht, beyond the students.
Still got that welcoming rep, good student housing now. Bars, cinema, shops, lively.
But the housing market's still tough, even there.
Yeah. Locals still felt it was challenging compared to, say, Belgium or Germany. That theme just kept coming back.
It really sounds like the major issue. Were there other common complaints besides housing and maybe the coastal crowding?
Those were the main ones, honestly. Housing was number one by a long shot. Oh, and that one person in Harlem mentioned the changing social atmosphere, remember?
Right, the shift towards being more business-focused, less community feel, maybe a loss of a code of conduct.
Yeah, that kind of decline in sort of social morals was the feeling. But mostly, housing.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for you, the listener. What we're hearing from people actually living there is, yes, bikes are absolutely huge, a defining thing.
Definitely. Non-negotiable Dutch life.
But the housing situation is a really significant challenge. Across the board, intense competition, high costs, long waits, especially in the cities.
Huge pressure point. And being welcomed. It varies. Big cities, maybe easier to find your footing initially. Smaller towns might take more effort. And knowing some Dutch really helps.
Right. And quality of life generally seems good, safe, relatively easygoing. But each city has its own distinct flavor, and there are these undercurrents of concern about crowding and, in some places, maybe a changing social feel.
So it really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you consider moving somewhere new, what matters most to you?
Exactly. Is it the ease of finding housing? Is it quickly making deep connections? Is it the specific vibe of a city?
Given these Dutch insights, especially the housing crunch and the different experiences newcomers have, what aspects are truly critical for your sense of well-being, your feeling of belonging, something to chew on?
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for diving deep into the Netherlands with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Until next time.